Alright, students, well, we are going to be doing some photo merging. So, this is a complicated and a little bit confusing way of going about things, but hopefully it'll be clear by the end of this. So, the first thing you need to do is make sure that your pictures are safe. I know that the pictures that I took to do my panoramic image are too big to do the photo merge, and so I was having problems figuring this out, but I think it's because of their size. So if I click all the ones that I wanted to be part of that panorama, and I copy them, and I paste them in the same spot, they'll form a copied version of each. So there they are. Oops, should be up here. So 0057 copy and 0057 right beside it. So it's these copies that I'm going to want to try and merge together. Let me drag them down into Photoshop, into the project bin. Once they're all in the project bin, I'm going to do this thing called a batch resize. You can see how long it's taking, that these are big shots. Now, working with multiple files in Photoshop is a convenient way to make adjustments to all of them. Just wait for them all to get up here. So you can go to File and process multiple files. And there's various things that you can do when you process multiple files. First, start from which files you're going to process. So you can process from a folder, you can process imported ones like from scans. We're going to do the ones that are open here, that are already in the project bin. The destination, let's change that to for students in yearbook, like Wabukane and Wukash. And we don't need to rename them so much as we need to resize them to something that's reasonable. So let's change it to inches. Just for the sake of argument, let's have the width be, I don't know. Let's see if we can make it work with 4. Convert the type to JPEG high quality. That works for me. And press OK. So it should really resize those. So those files batch, resized, and closed as they did so. So I'll just go into Wukash and hopefully they'll see them again. So I actually did rename it. I had to pause the recording, but I renamed it Smaller Panorama, and then the serialized number system was 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So I'm just going to grab those smaller ones and drag them into the project bin to open them again, essentially. This time the small size. These images all line up with one another. Because I took them swiveling my hips, keeping my arm tucked in, and trying to hold it level. So once these are all open, you go to this thing called, and I'm not quite sure whether it's going to do all 8, but let's see. This is how you'd merge those into one panorama. You edit, guided, and under the photo merge category, I know it doesn't say panorama or anything. Later versions of Photoshop Elements do. They have this function called Scene Cleaner. So click on Scene Cleaner. Click on the first one that you want to have merged. Shift click on the last one that you want to have merged. click on Scene Cleaner again. So here's the first confusing part about this. Choose the file that you want to have just on one side or another of this image. I think this is the one that's on the right side. And Photoshop has analyzed the pixels here and has kind of lined them up all in the correct order for you. So what you need to do is drag this first one, whichever one is on the right or whichever one is on the left, drag it into this gray area here, and that'll start it off. Once you've done that, don't click anything except just start drawing on this image. Increase your brush size by pressing the right square bracket, which is right near backspace. Make it nice and big. I'm just going to do this quick. So you're drawing on that, and that communicates what's going to be on the final over here. Find the next image and click once on it. I think... Okay, so it's going to be this yellow one. So again, without doing anything else, just begin drawing on the image. Don't overlap it too much. Don't go into this checkerboard pattern area here, and you can see it begins to line up those pieces together. Now the downside to this, as you'll see, is it doesn't do a great job of blending the pictures one beside the other. It just kind of places them next to one another. So you will see a dividing line between them. That's a kind of a flaw of this. But if you weren't shooting in auto mode and everything is the same value and light exposure value, then you're probably good to go. Here's the next one, and I just draw on it with my brush tool. If you want that, if you make a mistake, you can use the eraser tool and kind of use the left bracket if things are too big and erase part of whatever you want. That you can even see, like, we're getting rid of some of those areas that are over here. So using the pencil tool, draws that in, and if I click back on the yellow one, I can draw that yellow back in, and the blue, I can draw that back in. Okay, so moving on, this one's next. Click, and then brush. I think, no, this one's next. Brush. This one's next. Brush. You'll see particularly on this left side how drastic a change there was between the auto exposure value of this picture and the next one. Check out the difference in tone there. It's really bad. Anyway, if these pictures are small enough, if this file that I'm about to merge is small enough, it'll appear when I click done. If they're too big, then it'll just kind of, well, you'll see. Let's see. Okay, so it did it. Here's the file that's open. If I double click on this, I can save it. And you guys would save it the way you normally save it. Your last name dot first name dash whatever it is. You can call it Wabu Panorama or whatever you'd like. And save it to the proper location. And you can change the format to a JPEG as well if you'd like. Just make sure that extension stays on there. Otherwise the computer won't know what to do. Alright, so that's that. That's how you make a photo merge with these confusing guided edits in Adobe Photoshop Elements 8.